Welcome to episode 3 of the 3 and Out podcast. Today is Monday, August 26th, 2019. I am your host, I Wreck Rookies, alongside your girlfriend's favorite co-host, my friend Aries. Aries, we're blowing through this first season of Madden 20. My man, how you doing?
Hey man, I'm doing great. I'm excited to see the fast pace that we're taking now finally after guys like Boone and Chad and them decided to slow us up quite a bit in those dang Euros, but hey, we're moving along.
Gotta love them, gotta love them. So we got a jam-packed show for you guys tonight. Tonight on the show we have our Podium, which we're going to go through the top 3 users that we like to play in XCFL. We'll jump into our featured coach interview of the week, none other than the king of content himself. We'll go over some key matchups that we've seen on the docket for this calendar week coming up, hit you with a few heads or tails, and then we'll wrap up the show with our Hail Marys of the week. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get it started. So, Aries, I think you've been a part of the XCFL long enough that you've started creating probably a little profile on each of the guys from a gameplay perspective, a personality standpoint, things like that. So, with that being said, who's on your podium of XCFL users you enjoy playing against?
You really start me out with a really quite interesting question here for our podium segment, but I'd have to go with number 3. I would choose to play Tosh day in and day out. I
Okay.
mean, he's such a skilled and knowledgeable user. Uh, he absolutely challenges you to become a better player. He's talented, he's skilled, he's knowledgeable, all the things that you look for in a rival type player. Unfortunately, we've never been in the same division, so that's kind of a bummer. As soon as I think I have him figured out, Tosh adds a new wrinkle.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Yeah, I've played against Tosh once or twice in the XCFL, but we've played a lot. We were in a division together in another league, and yeah, I definitely think he's one of my favorites. Not my top 3, but definitely, if I had to do like a top 5, he'd definitely be in there.
Yeah, we played a ton in the preseason. We played a bunch of in the what is it, the Showtime Invitational. We played in that a couple times. We played
Yep.
just a couple games. We had a lot of fun with it, but man, that is somebody I really enjoy playing against.
Right on. So who'd you have at number 2?
So at number 2, I'm playing Jack all day, every day.
Okay.
He is one of those guys that you're going to play him until you beat him because he is that damn good. Unfortunately, I've never beaten Jack. I mean, that's number one reason why I want to play him. I would play him on repeat every day until I figured out a way to beat him, and I beat him consistently.
Fair enough.
Last cycle, I mean, we had a lot of really close games to where it'd be, neck and neck, one score difference. I'd be up late in the fourth quarter, but it just never seemed to go my way in the end. So Jack's got to be somebody that I would want to play consistently every year.
That makes sense.
All right, now here's the one you guys are waiting for. This is my favorite person to play against, hands down.
Okay.
At number 1, I love playing NWS.
Oh god, this is gonna go right to his head.
Oh man, he's gonna enjoy it way too much. But you know what? It's just such an even matchup. I think our record is 500 against each other. Well, I think with him taking a win against me earlier in the season, now he's up a game. So, it's just our intense race to make the playoffs last season. Just everything about this rivalry has been incredibly fun. And for me, I'm really excited that we get to carry it on into 20 from 19. Staying in the same division, playing each other twice a year. NWS, it's my turn. You better go ahead and give me that 40-point dub next time we see each other. All right.
Now that makes sense. Yeah, I like playing. I know him as Randy, but yeah, I like playing NWS too. yeah, we've played a handful of times here and then in another league, and yeah, I enjoy playing him as well. But we'll go ahead and jump into my top three. At number three, I gotta go with my man Dave. Easily, he's the most sim user I've had the privilege of playing against in my almost, God, what's it been, 10 years of sim gaming? Because I was even doing like some sim stuff before it became like mainstream in the online community. But I think I have a losing record against him, but I still look forward to our games. Like, they just tend to be these kind of back and forth, fun, super clean, super sim games that, like, even if I lose afterwards, I'm just kind of like, okay, like, I didn't do this or I didn't do that, or he beats you with knowledge, not tactic, if that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. He's the kind of guy that knows the game.
Right. So that's why I was excited to jump in the NFC South with him this cycle,
Yeah.
and be able to play him, obviously more than I'll play anybody else this cycle other than my other two division mates. But yeah, Dave easily into my top three. But at number two, this one, I don't know if this will come as a shock to some people, but I have Van at number two. We always seem, and he and I talk about this frequently after we play, we always seem to have these really competitive back and forth style games that come down to like the last 2 minutes. It seems to happen every time. For whatever reason, our styles just complement each other, and I can say for certain that, like, when I play him, like, now I don't know if he feels the same way, but we tend to, like, bring out the best in each other's game. So it's usually a really fun experience playing him, win or lose. I think we've split the last two. He beat me at the tail end of last cycle, and I just beat him last week in 20. So it's, like I said, it's usually a back and forth matchup. Usually pretty defensive games, which is kind of the game I like to play. I think I know I have the number one pass defense and the number one overall defense, and I want to say he's top 5 in rushing, so it tends to be like a real defensive game. I think this last one, I can't remember the score of this last one, but I know the one in 19 was like a 20-17 game or something, so not a whole lot of scoring. But
those close games are what make it fun.
yeah,
Honestly, if you're looking for somebody to play consistently, you want it to be a close game.
yeah, and like I said, it's usually that way every time with him. So, but at
So who'd you have at number one?
number one, none other than my favorite whipping boy, Mr. Chadwick. For two simple reasons: easy dubs, easy money. No, but in all seriousness,
Why you gotta do him like that?
in all seriousness, no, I like playing Chad. He's one of the users I look forward to playing, and not just because I'm undefeated against him, but he plays a game that challenges you. Usually when I play him, I have to outscore him. For whatever reason, he can figure out my defense, and then my defense is kind of like what I've always kind of prided myself on. So, whenever I play him, like, I know one of our games last cycle when I was the Cardinals and he was the Giants was like 49 to, or it was like, I think I was 2 points shy of a 50 burger on him, but it was like 48 to like 42. Like, it was like just this back and forth throwing bombs the whole time. So, like I said, I'm undefeated against him, but usually it's a fun game. So, but with that being said, fellas, we'll go ahead and jump into our coach interview with none other than the king of content himself. So now we'll jump into our featured coach interview, and if you don't know who our next guest is, you should probably check your pulse. The guy is everywhere on social media, including holding press conferences, going through tables like he's a friggin' Dudley boy. Just not a game or a hobby for this guy. He takes the content game to a never-before-seen level, which pretty much validates his nickname as the king of content. Please welcome in our guest at this time, Coach Robert Morlock. Robert, we're so excited to have you on, man. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, glad to be here. Thanks a lot for asking.
Yeah, no worries, man. So we'll jump right in. So the one thing we've been asking everybody kind of as they've come on the show with some regularity is where their love for the game came from. So where does your love for football, kind of stem?
Well, growing up as a kid, I absolutely love football. Played football in the neighborhood with all the neighborhood kids. My parents would never let me play football, so I never got to play football for the high school. Um, so all the football that I did was, just watching it and studying it and trying to get involved as much as I can. I'm helping coach a junior high team right now, but just trying to do as much as I can. But I never actually got to play in games, but
Sure.
it didn't shy away from my love for the game.
That's really interesting. There's a number of members in here that never played an actual down of football, so it's kind of impressive that we've got more than one. I know Higgy last week that has never played. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely different because you would think that a person did, but it just my parents were very, I grew up on a farm. We were expected to, work on the farm, so they didn't really have time for stuff like that, unfortunately.
No, that makes sense, and I think, like you said, it's kind of cool that we have kind of a balance in the XCFL. We got guys like myself and Jack and well, let me actually backtrack. We got guys like Jack that played like actual college football. And then we had guys like myself and NWS that played college football, but on a smaller scale. So it's kind of cool to have that balance. I guess is my point.
Yep, definitely.
So.
Hmm.
But good deal. Well, we know you're a big Bills fan, Robert. So how does it feel having your team now that you have, in the XCFL?
Oh, man, first of all, I could not be happier. It's unbelievable to have them and get to play with them. You don't realize, when I joined last year and took the Bengals because that was, the only opening. You become attached just because you're so used to seeing the uniforms every game and trying to learn the players and to have my Bills and have some of these young guys that I cheer for on Sundays that's really cool. I love it.
Sure. And I know from my experience in the past, I've had the Seahawks in a number of leagues, and or I shouldn't say in a number of leagues for a number of years, and it does kind of give you that extra level of immersion, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You want to do your best, that's for sure.
Right. Just got to
I
be
mean,
sure you don't let emotions take over your roster management. I learned that the hard way in like Madden
Yeah.
15 when Cam Chancellor became ancient. So,
that'll do it to you.
but
I know when I was the Eagles back in 19, I found myself researching things about the city of Philadelphia just so I had something to talk about. So I
oh yeah,
understand becoming totally engrossed with a team. And even in 20, I tried my darndest to get a couple guys off the Eagles and bring them to Detroit with me. I mean, Robert, did you try to reach out to the Bengals and pick anybody up?
There's a couple people that played really well under my system when I was at Cincinnati. I haven't really. I've talked to Double Nut about some stuff. I've not really talked to him in specific about those particular players, but with some of the players that are already here in our system, I, Mecca Hyde I've got here as my safety, so that's pretty strong. Even
Hmm.
though I had some success with some of their guys over there too.
right on. No, that makes sense. And kind of moving on. Uh, we kind of call it how we see it on this show, and just calling it as we see it. Your record hasn't always been probably where you'd like it to be. That said, everybody listening, watching, could take a page out of your book of content. So, what motivates you to keep the hits rolling, content wise, when maybe not having the success on the field you'd like to see?
Well, to be honest with you, it's finding your niche. I mean, that's the best thing I can say to all the new owners out there. I might not be at a level of gamer like, say, Higgy, but where maybe I lack in the gaming there. I just try to make up for as far as the presentation and the social side of it, and just trying to build that reality into it, so that at the end of the day, kind of shows that I belong and kind of keeps me secure with the league. That's for sure, because this is definitely the place to be, the XCFL. So I definitely want to protect that.
Sure.
So, Robert, like we all know that you're a part of the Bills Mafia. You got your roster. You got your team here in 20. With that said, as a Bills Mafia member, what are your must-have items at a tailgate? Right. So with this, I'm looking for one drink, one food item, and one additional item of your choice.
Well, any Bills tailgate, you've got to have the hot dogs, and you've got to be close to the mustard sprayer, that's for sure. But Busch Light never does a person wrong. I mean, you can certainly take some shots out of a bowling ball here or there, but at the end of the day, I think you just settle in with a little Busch Light.
All right, so we got a drink, we got a hot dog. What's your additional item? Please tell me table.
I mean, you always want to take a table with you. I mean, you could set it up, use it for whatever, break it down at the end of the day, and head to the house, right?
Oh no, I was just really looking for Dudley Boy style WWE moves. Table. That's what I was hoping for.
How else would you break it down?
Oh man.
Emphasis on the word break.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh man, I can dig it. All right, Robert. So let's go with a bold prediction here. You and Higgy square off tonight. The game's what, 10:15?
Yeah.
All right, so this won't come out until tomorrow, but I want the prediction now. Who wins?
Well, he has had my number over the years. We've played a lot together. He is a hit, stick, and fiend, that's for sure. So I'm going to have to really try to protect the ball. I'd love to tell you that I'd go to 6-5 at the end of the night, but I don't know if I've got what it takes to beat him or not. He's psychologically in my head, that's for sure.
Ooh,
so I'll probably give him the edge.
Man, all right. So, give me a second bold prediction, okay? I've seen your schedule going on for the rest of the season. I think it's somewhat favorable for you. All right. I think your division's still pretty open for you to be able to take it. I'm not set on any clear winner at this point. So, my question for you has got to be, what's your record at the end of the regular season?
Well, we're going bold prediction.
Just tell me what your record is going to be.
I'm going to say, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I can somehow finish 9-7, and maybe with the craziness and the parity of the teams, maybe somehow squeak out a win.
Yeah.
And make my way into the playoffs.
All right.
That's a very bold prediction.
I mean, you got the Broncos, Cowboys, Ravens, Steelers, Patriots, and Jets to finish off the season. I think the Jets and the Cowboys are the two toughest you're gonna see, and then I think the Ravens are beatable. You just match up Slay. You're welcome. Right there on Hollywood, you'd be good to go.
Definitely. I've never beat Van. I've beat Regan one time. I've never beat Jared, but historically, I've done well against the Steelers. I don't know why, but I play well against the Steelers.
That's because everybody hates them.
Maybe that's what it is.
We're so goddamn tired of hearing about those 6 damn championships. Live in the now, Steelers fans.
VBD is a very tough opponent with Tom Brady. Me and Josh have been sitting there just waiting for him to retire to open up that division, and then I guess Josh is going on some vacation, so I don't know. Maybe that window opens up for me there. I've never beat him. I've come close once, but it'll definitely be winnable games. Maybe I can keep it close and get a little turnover, win the turnover battle.
Nah, I got faith in you, man. I think you're a playoff team. We just gotta get you just to write that roster a little bit, and you'll be in good shape.
Got a little work to do, that's for sure. I've got a little work to do.
Right on. Well, man, just kind of wrap things up. I know I speak for obviously Aries and myself. We're very happy to have you in the league. Everybody has immensely enjoyed the the press conferences, going through tables. I mean, you name it. It's been a blast watching you kind of do your thing in that regard. So please continue to keep up the good work, and I'm sure we'll have you on the show again here soon. We weren't going to show our hand too soon, but we'll have you back on the show here soon. All right.
Hey, that sounds great. Love the show. Enjoy it thoroughly. So anything I can do to help out.
Awesome. Thanks, man. We appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Thanks,
Take
Robert.
care. Thank you again to Robert for jumping on the podcast. We're going to be seeing a lot more of him and our man Higgy here as the weeks go on. We're going to have a cool segment coming up here in a couple weeks once I get back from my little mini vacation next weekend with those two guys. It's going to be a good time, so you guys have to tune in for that. Now we're going to get into some key matchups coming up this week. Aries, I'll give you the floor. What matchup are you looking to probably the most of this coming week?
In week 12, the matchup that's really most intriguing to me has got to be the 7-2 Saints versus the 8-1 Panthers. Now, that's your division that we're going to be talking about here for a minute, but it's the biggest matchup. It's going to be a primetime game, guaranteed to be in that Sunday night or that Monday night slot. It's really a big time game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little biased on the topic, but definitely a big game for me. I know that I pretty much told myself I needed to get through these first 10 games at a minimum 8-2, and I'm 7-2 right now. Going into this one with him, if we can both end up 8-2, he's got a tough stretch coming up. We'll get into that a little bit later, my Hail Mary, but he, if I can clip him here, I got a good chance to jump him and get back out front. The one thing that I noticed about this matchup is I have the second rated defense in points allowed with 17, and he has the second rated offense in points scored with 34. So definitely going to be curious to see how the Panthers offense can combat my defense, because my guys are playing out of their mind right now.
So what do you think some of the keys to victory are for you coming up in this week?
Oddly enough, we were just talking about it in chat. Easily the one thing for me is keeping Cam contained. Got to try to keep him between the tackles. Got to try to get him under pressure. The one thing I've noticed just watching tape, Cam doesn't throw well under pressure. I don't know what his actual rating is for the attribute, but he does not throw well under pressure. So definitely get in Cam's face, keep him bottled up. The other thing is always know where CMC is on the field. He's definitely Brian's go-to. But he also sprinkles in some Curtis Samuel. So knowing where those two guys are on the field at all times, kind of playing situational football, there are some tendencies, and I won't get into them, that I've noticed. So trying to take advantage of some of those and kind of play the chess match on defense. The other thing is on offense, the one thing I'm going to have to do is establish a ground game. My defense kind of speaks for itself. So if I can run the ball effectively, play good defense, I think those are the two biggest ones that come to mind.
What's your answer for Brian Burns? Is there an answer? I mean, is there a way to neutralize him, or is it just hope to limit the damage?
I think it's kind of limit the damage. He's going to make plays. It's just a bottom line. He's third in sacks, I think, right now. At least he was going into this coming week. So it's just going to be a matter of trying to manage that side of the line. Ramzik's not been having a great year. I think DeMarcus Lawrence whooped him for like 6.5 sacks in my game against Van. But that's also with nobody usering him. So I'm hoping that Brian's tendency to user him maybe takes away some of that finesse. But we'll see. I mean, it's going to be one of those things where he's going to make a play or two here and there. Just can't get down with it. Can't let it affect decision making, things like that. Still got to make some aggressive play calls and try to run it right down his throat, basically.
I can totally dig it. All right, so speaking of running it right down his throat and ramming it in, let's talk about another key matchup. It's going to be the Raiders versus the Jets. Now, here's a little interesting fact that we picked up in my notes here. It's the Raiders have the 9th rush defense in yards allowed, and they're playing and squaring off with Le'Veon Bell and the 6th ranked rushing offense.
Yeah, I noticed that. I think Bell has 798 yards and 7 touchdowns through this point. So yeah, it'll be a big matchup. That rush defense versus Bell. Curious to see how Darnold can use the weapons at his disposal, and see how the Raiders secondary handles that. 'Cause I think that's going to be the deciding factor. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, really, for me, one of the big keys to this has got to be the effectiveness of the Jets' defense. Now, I know they got some talent on the roster, some young guys. They got a special cornerback who's, I think he's like 24, 25. He's 95 speed, Perry Nickerson. Dude just had an incredible game last week. I think hauled in 2 interceptions. If he can get him rolling and slow down any of Doss's passing attack, you got a really good shot of beating him. So I think slowing down the pass and then pounding the ball on the ground is keys to victory for the Jets.
Who do you think has the user advantage?
The user advantage for me, Doss.
Okay.
I would say Doss. Now, don't get me wrong, Josh is a very good user.
Say former Super Bowl champion.
Doss seems to be able to adjust on the fly too well. You take one thing away, he's going to hit you with something else. Take another thing away, he's going to hit you with something else. He adjusts and plays mind games. Not to mention the way he has figured out how to manipulate his defense pre-snap and go through adjustments and different reads.
Okay.
I think he's leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else in the XCFL right now when it comes to defensive adjustments.
No, that makes sense. And speaking of hitting each other with objects potentially, let's talk about another game coming up this week. The co-workers, Higgy versus Robert, the Bills and the Broncos. What do you got for this one?
Well, for starters, this is what I got for this. I don't think either one of them have probably talked to each other in the last 4 or 5 days since they realized they were playing each other. Mind you, this game may have been circled on the schedule there, in the workplace, but
I think we need a live video stream of them two playing just at 2 different TVs in the same room. Just one of the old school LAN parties.
Oh, that would be awesome. Honestly, I was just thinking like a like an MTV Real World style, where
right? Just lock them in a room.
Office. We have them in their office talking trash about who's going to win, and well,
let's talk. Let's talk exactly about that. You got the Broncos at 3-7, and the Bills at 500 at 5-5. Who do you think wins?
Golly, man, they play a lot. They scrimmage and practice with each other. They go for strategy the whole 9 yards. I think the difference maker for me has got to be Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
Right now, he's completing 67% of his passes. He's got 21 TDs and 6 interceptions. If you were to ask me, I would say that's incredible stats, especially for a quarterback like Josh Allen that nobody expected to be a great passer in this league right now. We all know he's got a rocket for an arm, and he can kind of get out there and move a little bit, but really, that 21 and 6 is an impressive stat line.
Do you think it's too far-fetched, or I don't know the right word to look for here, but do you think it's too crazy to say that these two guys probably have the most experience playing each other at any two guys in the whole league?
I don't think it's very far-fetched.
Okay.
They've talked about it before. They scrimmage each other. They go over strategy and skills and practice, and I bet they know exactly what each other's running every single play.
Yeah, no, that's fair, man. That is fair. Well, guys, if there's any games you're seeing on the schedule coming up this week here in the next few in-game weeks, let us know. Let us know the games that you're checking out and ones you'll be watching to see how things turn out. But with that said, we'll go ahead and move into our next segment, which is Heads or Tails. All right, guys. So now it's time for our heads or tails segment. So Aries, we'll let you kick us off this week. What you got for me, man?
Man, I'll tell you what, this is one of my favorite segments of the entire show.
Oh yeah, this one in the Hail Marys. It's funny because like they're the most regimented, but they tend to be the favorites for us to do. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, they're really quite spelled out, but man, we have a lot of fun with it. So speaking of, let's with the recent news going on right now, we all know about it. Andrew Luck retiring. Sad moment. Somebody check on Sean. Once again, check on him. It might be 6 months until we don't have to check on him every day. So let's imagine we restarted the XCFL.
Okay.
Fresh. Brand new. Updated rosters with Andrew Luck retired.
Okay.
So, no Luck. Which quarterbackless team would you rather take? Heads, the Colts, or tails, the Giants?
Man, that's a tough one because both have pros and cons. Because like the Giants, you obviously have Saquon. You don't have much on defense though, but you also have
Peppers.
Yeah, well, like I said, you don't have much on defense. But you do have Saquon. You do have Daniel Jones, as crazy as that sounds. He's got a little bit of speed. He's got a decent arm. So you're not necessarily starting completely from scratch at the quarterback position. But he's definitely not even close to as good as Rosen was to start off last cycle for me. So I think this one I'd have to lean Colts. They have a stupid amount of cap space. Like, have you looked at their cap space? I mean, before the Andrew Luck thing even happened, they still had like $62 million in cap space. Like, it's absurd. And then like if you go to over the cap, they have like 82 million for next year. Like, they have a stupid amount of cap space. I was telling people today that they should, like, if the Cowboys are serious about trading Zeke, like they should, or Dak, they should be like, we'll do it, like, no problem. So, I mean, probably the Colts because they got a defense that's starting to come together. They got two quick backs. I'm not sold on Mack or Hines. I'd probably need a back, but Brissett's not terrible. You could get through a season or two with him if you didn't want to tank. If not, tank right away, get your quarterback. So yeah, I'd probably go with the Colts.
I like that answer. For me, I'd probably take the Colts too. There's too many young studs on that roster not to take them.
And I mean, it's sad that it's just now coming to fruition, but they have like some good pieces on the line and stuff. So, too little, too late for Luck. But yeah, the rest of the team's young and up and coming. So, speaking of guys hanging it up in their prime, you're a big Lions fan. You have the Lions this cycle. Which of these two Lions would you rather have on your XCFL team right now? Heads?
I don't like where this is going.
Oh, yeah. You know where I'm going with this. Heads, Calvin Johnson, or tails, Barry Sanders?
You would do this to me. Thanks, bud.
You're welcome.
Thought we were friends. All right, cool.
The crazy part is, man, Luck was 29. Calvin Johnson, who is by far my favorite non-Seahawk of all time, it's not even close. And Barry were only 30 and 31, respectively.
This is a rather sore spot. I don't know if you've seen Barry Sanders lately, but I bet you he could still get out there and shake and bake.
I still think Emmett was better, but go on.
You can think that way, but then you'd just be another Cowboy slappy. It's okay. Man, so being from the Detroit area, being a Lions fan, these two hurt. These two really hurt, and it speaks to the ownership failures. It speaks to the organizational failures. It just speaks to the shit program the Lions are. But luckily, we're speaking XCFL world. And in the XCFL, the player you have to take in this, as good as Barry Sanders is, and I love Barry Sanders, I've got to take Megatron.
Oh, yeah.
There is not another receiver in the entire XCFL that's even close.
Could you imagine if we had guys like him and Moss in this league? Like, it would be,
Oh
like,
my
in their
God.
prime. It would be stupid. Like, I mean...
These guys would have made Barry Brooks and Isaac Rawls look terrible.
Yeah, exactly. True or
I
false?
mean,
In Calvin's prime, do you think he'd have been rated a 99 on this game this year?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Probably Barry, too, but...
Oh yeah, very too. But for Calvin, they literally did the sports science of him. If it was within a garage door of him, he was catching the ball.
That's insane.
It's incredible, and he ran a 4.340.
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean There's never been a receiver that was Megatron, and there will probably never be another receiver that's Megatron.
You know,
So I'm gonna take him.
me and my dad always have this debate, Megatron versus Jerry Rice, and
That's my second. Those are my two favorite receivers of all time.
he doesn't get the argument I'm trying to make when I say, if you're specifically looking at just the player, I'm sorry, Calvin Johnson. If Calvin Johnson had Steve Young, he'd have had better numbers than Jerry Rice. There's no doubt in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And if they'd have had this, if you would have basically just swapped him and Jerry Rice on teams, put him with Steve Young in that Niners team, and put Jerry Rice with your boy, what'd you call him last week? Pad Stafford.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sorry. I think Calvin Johnson has just as good, if not better numbers. Just my opinion. But what else you got for me, man?
All right, so here's a fun one. There's been a resurgence of burner accounts here in the XCFL. For those of you that aren't in the XFL that just happen to be stumbling across this pod and listen to it, those are fake profiles per se that people make to pretend to be
Parody accounts.
a parody. Yeah, so they're parody accounts. So this week we kind of had a newcomer pop into the scene. I think it was a response to one that we had already had. But so let's do this. Would you rather be heads, the XCFL's Skip Bayless, or tails, the XCFL's Jim Rome?
Oh man. You know, I haven't seen much of the Jim Rome stuff. Let me pull. Honestly, we're gonna go. This is live podcasting here, folks. We're gonna pull up some Jim Rome tweets.
So he's that new. He hasn't even really seen him yet.
Let's see. Oh, he thinks he said the Saints are the real deal. So maybe I should maybe I should pick him just out of spite. Let's see.
That's good reasoning.
You know what? I'm gonna go with, just for XCFL purposes, Skip Bayless. Now, in real life, I much prefer Jim Rome to Skip Bayless, but especially being in the sports media world myself, I much prefer Jim Rome. Skip, man. Skip doesn't hold back. He tells you how it is, whether you like it or not. I feel like Jimmy here is a little more reserved. So if I had the freedom to kind of just throw it in people's faces, I think I'm going with Skip. Now let me ask a question to your question, and this isn't my heads or tails. If you had to pick the guys running these accounts, who do you think's running each of them?
Oh boy. All right. Let's take a look here. Skip Bayless.
It's got to be Doss, right? I mean,
As incredible as that would be, I don't think so. How long has Skip been around? See, we almost just need to do like a whole freaking segment to figure out how long these guys have been around. Try to put names.
There you go. We'll put a pin in that for a future show.
Yeah. So, all right, we're gonna throw a name out here. I think Skip Bayless is a Euro.
Pause for dramatic effect.
I paused hard. I think he's a Euro.
You think it's Josh?
I think it might be Josh. I really do.
Okay.
I think Josh is Skip Bayless. And I don't know. I think
that one makes sense. Josh's Skip makes sense.
I think Smooth Grizzly, old Grizz,
Is Jim Rome?
might be Jim Rome.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's two. Yeah, I could see both of them. You know what would be the ultimate troll, though, is if it was one of the guys that used to be in the league that still kind of keeps tabs on the league, like JMO or somebody.
God,
just
that would
starts
be
up a parody
incredible.
account just to piss with people. That would be so damn funny. I would piss myself. Oh
Oh
my
my
god, that'd
God,
be
that
hilarious.
that would be awesome.
Oh man.
That would be awesome.
Well,
Oh boy.
let me hit you with your last heads or tails here, my bud. Uh, if you had your choice at the beginning of a cycle, would you rather have heads, a team loaded out of the box, so for in this case, let's say a Browns, or tails, a team with nothing but a quarterback and a bunch of cap space, so you could build it yourself, a la I don't know what kind of cap space they have, but a la an Arizona Cardinals.
Okay. Huh. So there's two different trains of thought on this one, right? So I can get like Cleveland Browns,
Mm-hmm.
and most of their guys are young, but they're ready to go right now. Super Bowl out of the box. Or I could hit
Well, let's use I didn't want to use myself.
Texans.
I didn't want to use myself, but let's say a Saints, like
Okay,
a
we can
win
use
now
Saints.
team. Chargers, Saints.
Or like a Cards with just a quarterback and cap space.
Quarterback and cash.
Man.
Build them how you want
Honestly,
them.
I would probably say a quarterback and cap space. So
Okay.
there's the longer I'm in the XCFL and the more roster building I'm doing, I'm beginning to find that there's certain types of players that fit my style more. Like I
Sure.
just picked up Amara Darbo off the free agent list, who's a 64 overall, and I think he's my number 2 receiver.
I was gonna say ex Seahawks receiver.
He's also an ex Michigan Wolverine.
Oh God.
Yep.
Now I need a
So
shower after the show. Thanks.
you're welcome. You're welcome. So I'm gonna
OH.
go with. Oh no! I'm gonna go with a quarterback and cap space.
Okay.
That's my answer.
Yeah, just be smarter than I was last cycle, cause I man I won I got into the playoffs that first year with Arizona, and man I thought, man, all I need is one or two pieces, so I went out and mortgaged the entire future on Julio Jones, and it blew up in my face.
Oh, that's a terrible call. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, like, look, I picked up 2 wide receivers off the free agent list because I didn't like anybody after Marvin Jones and Kenny Galladay. Kenny Galladay got hurt in week 2, I believe, or week 3. So I picked up 2 guys. They're my number 2 and number 3 receiver on my roster in terms of catches, outside of T.J. Hawkinson because he's a stud.
Yeah.
But I mean, in 2 or 3 less games, they've almost caught up to Marvin Jones in terms of catches and yards and touchdowns. So
Yeah.
it's I like players, certain types, man.
Yeah, see, I'm not like I could go either way. Like prior to me joining XCFL, I was in a league where I was the Seahawks pretty much year in and year out, and it started back in 2013 when Russell Wilson was a rookie, or 2012 rather, but Madden 13. When Russell Wilson was a rookie, and he was like a 71 overall. But
Nice.
and the Seahawks weren't good. But then like every year after that, the Seahawks were just freaking loaded. So like, I had Chancellor and Sherman and Earl Thomas, and back then it was like guys like Brandon Browner, and they had freaking Chris Clemens and all these guys on the D line, and then they had Russell and Marshawn Lynch and Doug Baldwin, and you freaking name it, they had it. And I don't want to say it takes the suspense out of things, but it takes out the it kind of kills your off season. Like, you're set. You don't have to make moves, like, unless you really want to make like some outlandish trade. So like it didn't. I mean, I think the most exciting offseason I ever had with the Seahawks in that league was like the offseason they traded for Percy Harvin in real life, and like I got to trade for Percy Harvin. Like that was like the highlight of my offseason. So it kind of made the offseason boring, whereas like when I was the Cardinals, it was kind of like trying to move stuff here and there and like trying to make smart moves, and then obviously come up with the blockbuster for Julio that blew in my face. So it kind of makes it a little more fun, but you can ruin your cycle a lot easier doing that, I think.
Oh yeah.
Like
If you start with an out of the box team, you're at least gonna have a couple good seasons
Well, and
with that team before they all retire.
that's kind of the reason I took the Saints too this cycle. Is like I know my fall and winter is going to be interesting. We don't need to say why. But so I kind of knew I wasn't going to have a ton of time to focus on that side of things. So
yeah.
So I was playing the long game. So
cool, man.
But that wraps up the heads or tails. So we'll jump into our Hail Marys of the week. Get you guys out of here. All right, guys. So we're gonna wrap up here with our Hail Marys of the week. Aries, we went goose eggs our first week. Was definitely not a good look. We both went over the first week. So let's take a look, see how we fared this past week. I myself also laid a goose egg again. Said that the Ravens would be on top of the AFC North. They are actually one game out. Thanks a lot, Lamar Jackson, you cheesy son of a... anyways. So nonetheless, I am still winless, or I should say Hail Mary-less so far.
You are still laying goose eggs, bud.
I'm still laying goose eggs. But your prediction last week was Chatter Boone will be the last game scheduled at least 1 week over the next 7 days. And I think we were talking earlier. I think they both were the last game scheduled at least once last week.
Yep, they were both the last game scheduled, the last game to be played at least one time last week.
I hate you both.
Hats off to you boys. Thank you. Hopefully we can get a little clapping sound effect going on here.
Yeah, Aries said your checks are in the mail.
Oh, man, you weren't supposed to tell him that, all right?
Well,
Look,
good.
this is serious.
Good deal. Well, Aries, I'll go ahead and go first this week. Man, my Hail Mary, and I alluded to it earlier in the show when we were talking about our key matchups for this week coming up. The Carolina Panthers will go winless over their next 3 games. 0-3 over their next 3 games, which are against the one and only New Orleans Saints, the Washington Redskins, and our boy Jack, and then the Atlanta Falcons, who he's currently beating right now as we're recording the show. I got it up on the TV behind me, but he had some struggles with Dave last cycle, so I think Dave might clip him. So that's my prediction for this week. Winless Carolina Panthers, next 3 games.
That's a really bold take right there. I mean, the Panthers are
calling my shot, man.
The number 1 team in the league right now. What are they? 8-1. They're gonna win tonight. Be 9-1.
Fall from grace.
Fall from grace. I like it though, man. It's ballsy. I like the confidence. I can dig it.
What do you got for me?
All right, so I definitely took the easy way out last week, talking about Jad and Boone. Thank you, boys, once again.
Mm-hmm.
So this week, let's go with a tough one. I'm gonna go with Joey Bosa. Will be held sackless in 1 game this week. So from the time
just
from
1
now
game
until the time we record, I'm gonna go with 1 game. This is the sack leader in the XCFL. He's going to set records. He's averaging something like 4 or 5 a game. It's ridiculous.
So only 1 game, huh?
So only 1 game. If I was to say sackless for 7 straight days, there is a 0% chance that I win.
You could have went 2 games. I mean, going 1 game isn't, that makes that not the only sackless thing about this prediction. So
look, we'll bump it up so we're a little less sackless for this prediction.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
We'll go 6 straight quarters.
Okay. Hey, that's better than 4.
Better than 4.
I'll take what I can get. Fair enough, man. Well, we'll see how these pan out, but that's all we got for you guys tonight. Be sure to tune in next week's show. Gonna have, I believe, I think we discussed we're gonna have our boy Double Nut on, I believe. So, gonna be a good show. I will not be here, so our boy Higgy will be stepping in for me next week. So be sure to tune in to him and Aries. I will be out of town for a wedding, so these guys are gonna kick ass and rock things out while I'm gone. I'll bring you back the week after. And we'll keep this thing going. So with that said, everybody have a good week, and we'll catch you next time.